Evening, everybody. Today is Tuesday, August 20th, 2019. It's 6:30 p.m. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Marquette Township Board. And if you'd like to join us in the pledge, we'd appreciate it.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call. Randy, please.
Trustee LaRue.
Here.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Trustee Everson.
Here.
Trustee Wiegand.
Here.
Treasurer Johnson.
Here.
Clerk Rattari is here, and Supervisor Durant.
Here.
Staff present is Manager Gerard and our Township Attorney Roger Zappa. No committee members present.
Thank you. Pardon me. We have no public either, unless you want to say something, Lisa. Okay, so that scratches off 2 and 3. Tonight's consent agenda will consist of approval of regular and closed session meeting minutes of August 7th, bills payable in the amount of $827,439.55. We have a budget amendment that Randy can read, 2019-06. Received committee and other reports, including June 11th road committee minutes, July's fire department activity report, and sheriff's department activity report. We have election statistics, recreation committee minutes and agenda from August 20th and June 18th, financial statement from July. I just need a motion on the consent agenda unless somebody wants to change something.
I'll move the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
You'll do a roll call and
Yeah.
after the reading?
On the budget amendment 2019-06, the authorization is requested for reclassification of expenditures in the water fund. The T&D Services Department will require an additional $10,000 to unexpected water line repair on Northwoods Road. Cox Pumping Station required replacement of the water heater. Unplanned repairs at the well station include maintenance on the generator and replacement of the soft pump for the starter of the well pumps. The offset will come from contingency, and there's a $23,000 change.
Okay. We just need, oh yes, we have motion and support. Yes.
Clerk Rattari is yes. Treasurer Johnson.
Yes.
Trustee LaRue.
Yes.
Trustee Wiegand.
Yes.
Trustee Marks.
Yes.
Trustee Everson.
Yes.
And Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
And I just need a motion for the remainder of the agenda unless there are any changes.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That did include, and I didn't even read that, correspondence not requiring board action. Our charter communications quarterly franchise fee payment, the channel lineup and pricing, and then another Semco Energy Gas Company case U-20-2015, And I didn't hear anybody say anything about a conflict of interest. Our agenda's pretty light, so that makes it easier. So, board education. I don't have a report. We're going to do a meeting tomorrow with our, just one county rep. One of them has got another appointment, so we'll meet with them tomorrow. And the solid waste meeting's tomorrow too, so I don't have anything for you on that. Randy, do you know anything about fire department or public works or assessing? Have you heard any? It's been pretty quiet. I mean, not fire department wise,
Fire
right?
department's been pretty busy.
Right, they have, yes.
Yeah, they've been, again, we've been having back-to-back dispatches. We're heavily into the budget process right now, the 2020 budget. I hope to have that out to you by Friday. Very preliminary budget, so you can spend some time taking a look at it. The fire department, we're actively recruiting, again, we have 3 vacant part-time positions. We've got a couple of applications in that Dan is doing preliminary telephone interviews with for EMT positions and firefighter positions. Public Works, we're beginning our transition. We have the new superintendent of Public Works coming in on the 16th of September, starting. So we're getting prepared for that and getting him up to speed. We have completed the recruitment for the staff planner position. We have 3 good candidates that Jason is doing preliminary telephone interviews with prior to scheduling them here. All are local. We completed the advertising process for the executive search. Right now, we have 1 formal proposal in hand. That's from government HR. They're a pretty large organization. They've done 18 recruitments in Michigan since, well, for the last 2 years, 3 years. Did 18 separate here in Michigan, and then many others in other states. They recruit for all levels of local government. We talked with them for the chief position when we were advertising for the fire chief. Had them working with us. I will be talking with MML tomorrow with regard to their response, and should have a written report for you for your next meeting. I will not be present for your next meeting. I'll be out of town, but we'll have a report to you on where we're at with that. The proposals all came in within our budgeted amounts or less, and that I think we're pretty much on track with what we anticipate the cost of that would be.
Cool. Any questions for the manager on that stuff? Pete?
Hey, water heater, Randy, was it gas or water, or gas or electric? Do you know? Oh, just,
Quiz? I
okay.
think it was battery. No, I think it was gas. I think it was a gas heater. It was at the Cox Pump
Cox,
House.
yeah.
It's at the Cox Pump House. I'm pretty certain that was a gas heater there.
Okay, yeah, Dan.
Just wondering when we probably might be able to meet the new superintendent of Public Works.
He is committed to chocolate
September.
through the Friday before he starts with us. So he'll be at your second meeting in September.
Okay. Mr. Zappa, enlighten us.
Well, nothing too terribly exciting. We answered 2 tax tribunal appeals, both relating to Odavale properties, since the last report. Conferred with the attorney on the short-term rental issue that we talked about at the last meeting, and getting ready to file our answer on that. Worked on a Best Buy stormwater management agreement, that there was a disagreement between an Arizona attorney and our Public Works Department on what the language of that should be. We have a template we put together a few years ago that we typically follow, but there are a couple paragraphs in there that are subject to potential negotiation revision. And we came up with a satisfactory worded solution to that for all parties. Yesterday, we met with the Cayman and Trail Network people with regard to the license agreement that you had seen in draft version before. They had about a half dozen questions or concerns on it, and we hashed out. Some of those are non-negotiable from our standpoint, some of them are negotiable. We talked about their issues and concerns, and right now we're in the process of putting together some minor rewordings to see if it satisfies their issues and concerns. So it'll be done in the next couple of days. It'll then go back to them to see if that addresses the issues that they had, and if it does, then it'll come back to the board for consideration once again.
So we could have that for the September 3rd meeting?
Conceivably, yes.
I'll just make sure, since Randy will be gone, to check with you, or Randy could.
Jason's involved in that as well, so
Oh, sure.
Jason can handle that. The majority of the discussion or the concerns basically involve the wellhead protection zone, which we are not flexible on. I mean, that has to be maintained. So we'll see where that all pans out.
That it?
Pretty much.
That's pretty good. Thank you. Yeah, and I'll let you know about the county report next meeting then when we check with them tomorrow. Anything you all are hearing from the public that you want to share for community linkage? Any runs, drips, or errors? Everybody's busy vacationing and camping and nobody's home. Okay, committee updates. Dave, have you got any fun stuff for us?
Oh, I got the road rehab maintenance update. I see they actually started today. They're working on Brookton Road when I came down to the meeting. And they are saying that that is going to be done by the end of August. They've got a bad weather extensions worked in there for the first week in September, but it looks like they're going to be done essentially on schedule. Fair Avenue update, I talked to the manager about it last week, I guess it was, and it's on the Marquette County Road Commission agenda for a permanent repair, but they don't have it actually, they haven't got a date applied to it yet.
Karen Vanderboom,
Fair and Vanderbilt, yeah.
they snuck in on us and did it.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it's been repaired. So,
Oh, okay.
And it looks good.
Okay. The Recreation Committee meeting tonight, I guess firstly, the Planning Commission was canceled for last week. The next meeting is going to be on the 28th. At the Recreation Committee tonight, there was some discussion about the 2021 US 41 project and some of the things that we might want to do as far as continuing our pathways and enhancements with lights and working that in with some safe routes to school to tie. If you guys remember, this year's project on 41 is bringing a walking path up all the way from the tunnel to the old Cenex building on the corner of Wright and 41. Jason is working, trying to figure out a way to tie that into our current safe routes to school coming down Wright Street. And he's got a couple ideas he'd like to present to the board. I think the board should extend him an invitation, have him come in and make some presentation to it at our next meeting. And he's got a couple ideas as far as what the DDA can do and working out a safe routes to school that has to go through North Star Academy. But he had a couple ideas there rather than just go through the rec committee and then through the planning commission up to the board. He had to just make it the board. And he said he would do that if it was at the board's desire.
Sure. That sound all right to you guys? Get
So he's got a couple good
around.
ideas. At least it gets us some idea where we're headed, and it's a couple years out yet, so gives us lots of time to plan.
Well, then we'll have, Randy, is it October? We'd have the next DDA meeting. Is it 4 times a year or 3?
4.
I think we met in July.
And that would work out well for the DDA meeting if there's some direction comes out of that.
We were gonna get some numbers and, well, we got some information from the group in the city that was doing the lights and all that stuff. Okay.
And other than that, that was it.
And then our next event is probably not gonna be till Christmas for that committee. That's a little ways off. Thank you. Then we had draft committee reports from the road committee, August 7th, and the rec committee of July 16th. Those will probably be approved next time. So next up is our policy discussion to consider service vehicle replacement. This was moved from the last agenda because it wasn't quite ready to go yet. Do you want to preface that, Randy,
Trustee Marks?
on the truck? Oh, sorry, John. Sure.
There was a complete letter from the manager explaining what the need was, and was sent out to all the board. Just to get us off on it, I'll move to concur with manager Gerard and accept the total Fox Ford bid of $30,571 for the replacement of the service vehicle.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'd second it.
Any discussion or follow-up, or
Did you want me to do any
if anybody's
information
got
for the
any
public?
questions, or? Sure, you can kind of, we're getting rid of one vehicle and getting another one,
Yeah,
basically.
this is basically, it's a 2002 half-ton pickup. It's the oldest vehicle that we have in our fleet. It's got about 83,000 miles on it. They're hard miles. They're all short-term, short distance around Trowbridge and around the township. The main problem with it, and I did attach some photos, the vehicle doesn't look that bad when you look at it from the side and from the top, but when you look at it from the underneath, there's nothing left. The entire floor pan has rotted out from the bottom. The frame is rusted through from the bottom, and it's basically it's in need of brakes. It's in need of some other maintenance in addition to it, and there's just not the value in putting any money into it. So at this point, I've gone and looked at it. Superintendent of Public Works has recommended that it be replaced. He does have the funds in his budget to do that, and I'm supporting that request and asking the board to authorize the purchase of the vehicle. It was the low bid. I'm sorry, it was not the low bid. The low bid was from Fry Chevrolet. It was about a week and a half before they announced their closure, so we did not pursue that bid any further. And it was the low bid of the two remaining bids.
The amount that was stated might not be, it's close, but the check is right there, I believe. Ernie can read what the amount is, but is it 30?
31,537.
Okay, that's what it is, 31,537.
That includes the bed lining.
One comment on the bed liner. When you look at the one memo from Kurt, you have a typo down there. He's got a bed liner as way overpriced in that too, so.
Yes, I did catch that.
31,000.
Yeah, he was looking at the federal purchase price.
Yeah.
Okay. So we
And
have,
basically, what we'll do is we'll look at whichever the least expensive way is. That's the maximum. What's being asked is the maximum price. If a plastic liner as opposed to a spray-in liner is a better deal, we'll do that.
go ahead, Dave.
I'd just like to say, if they're even close, I think we should go with a spray-in
Spray-in.
liner. I mean,
Spray-in
the-
definitely more
Yeah,
durable.
the plastics are not,
They move.
yeah, they're just not durable. I mean, if it's way off, we can relook at it, but I think if it's at all close, we should go with the spray-in for
Definitely
sure.
prefer the spray-in. The plastics are good, but they do allow moisture to get underneath between the plastic and the bed, and they rot the bed basically because it doesn't ever evaporate.
Right.
Anything else on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 10B is consider township manager extension of employment.
Okay, Lynn,
Yes, Randy?
I want to preface it before Manager Gerard continues. I completed my manager evaluation compilation, and usually I have it on the agenda, but this is appropriate place for it because it has to be before his renewal. Randy got out of a 4, he got a 3.3, which is above a good performance. And Supervisor Durant has all the evaluations and the compilation sheet, if any board member would like to look at it.
Okay, so our manager his contract is good through December 31st. We do have a search that has sort of started with his replacement. And in the meantime, he has asked, he's had his evaluation, and he's asked for an extension on the contract to help facilitate the transition of his replacement. And if you kind of look at the timeline, and Clerk Rattari's done that pretty thoroughly, trying to analyze getting a recruitment company in, having them do the work, trying to find the applicants, doing all the background checks, doing the testing, could take us through November, possibly December. So by that time, then we're interviewing. It could end up being into spring by the time we actually have somebody that we would have in place, and, you know, maybe a month or two to work with Randy. So that was, I'm sure, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that kind of coincides with the letter saying it just kind of makes sense to have an extension. That's why he's asking for it. So, John, did you have something?
Yep. Regardless of the search and the time that it would take and things like that, I think that we've had the benefit of having the service of Gerard as a manager and an employee that has walked with us through some very troubled times. I think my own personal feeling is if he would like to have an extension of 5 months, regardless of any other reason, I would support that, and I would encourage others to think about the value that we have by retaining him for 5 additional months. So I'll move to grant his extension request.
I'll second it.
Motion and support. Ernie?
A couple of things. I looked at the request and as to June 1st, and I come from a background, I don't really like to bring someone in a long time before the next person leaves, because I look at the expenses and that too. So, looking at the time frame that you brought up, we may be bouncing right on the doorknob, and we may not. We don't know. It's an unknown at this point in time. So I can go either way. It doesn't make any difference that way for me. And the other thing is on benefits, being it's only be 5 months, if you look at benefits, 22 paid vacation days per anniversary year. Now, is that going to be prorated for the 5 months, or? I look at some of these things when I went through and read all this and that, and that's up to the board. And I just wanted to bring it up and for discussion and that too, so.
Sure.
When you look at that, so.
And that's what I was thinking too with that amount of time. Maybe there is vacation time that he wants to take at the end, that he doesn't have to be here with the new person too. But I want to give Randy a chance to talk too.
Well, you know, you had mentioned my current contract does expire December 31st of this year, and it was my intention to retire as of December 31st of this year. And then Mr. Page basically announced his retirement as of December 31st, which it would put you in an undue burden, basically, to have both positions open at the same time. So we engaged in some discussion, the board and I, in public session, engaged in several discussions about the potential option of me extending my retirement to give you the opportunity or the time to engage, if you choose to, engage an outside resource to do a search for you, which you opted to do, and to provide enough time for that to occur and to allow for 3 to 4 months, basically, if somebody in a similar position who wanted to move to this position, to be able to do that and still have somewhere between 1 to 2 months of ability to work jointly with me in terms of getting acclimated to the groundwork and where we've been, where we're going, and and what the board likes to do. Certainly, you will also be facing an election at the end of the year, which will have you occupied. So that was my purpose for requesting the extension. With regard to the accumulation of benefits, obviously, if I'm only talking about 5 months, I'm not looking to have 12 months worth of benefits, obviously. And, you know, and the board basically has the retention, and I would have absolutely no problem with you modifying it to be up to 5 months, depending on what your need is. I mean, if you had somebody who could be here in 2 months, there's no need for me to be sitting here for 5 months, basically, to orient. You shouldn't need more, somebody with the background shouldn't need more than 30 to 60 days of cushion time, let me put it that way, basically before you get thrusted into the fire. You're going to be talking about spring, you know, which is our busy time. Spring is a real busy time with construction, with building, and with plan designs and a variety of things. So an extra set of eyes will help. It's the same thing we're doing with Superintendent of Public Works. Our new director is coming in September 16th. Kirk is retiring December 31st. So there's a little more there to be familiar with regard to the operation of our water and sewer system and the properties that we own and managing the various things that occur there. And at some point you get tired. I've been doing this for 50 years. I'm getting tired. So, you know, the events of last spring just point out how quick your life can change and how drastically it can change literally overnight. So I guess that's all I had to say.
Okay, well, it's possible too, John, if you wanted to amend your, yeah, I was just gonna ask him, if you wanted to amend the agenda to say up to 5 months or not your agenda, your motion, I'm sorry.
He's asked for 5 months extension.
Yeah.
But he's saying that up to 5 months. I mean, it could be 1, it could be 3, it could be 5.
Depends on
It's
who
a
the
lot more
candidate
flexible,
is.
I believe, to do it up to 5 months, and it's not locking anybody into anything.
I just want to make sure that you have the,
90 days too
Right.
to give.
I just want to make sure that you, as the board, have the opportunity to get comfortable with whoever your replacement is, and they get comfortable with you and have the ability to basically start running.
So I just
Except
thought I'd ask before we have any more discussion. Okay, to amend it, okay. Pete, did you have your hand up?
I like the extension because in any job like this, and Randy's been given above good performance for years, and we've got our public works person's leaving, and that's a big job, and we've got a lot of moving parts, and then all of a sudden your manager's gonna leave. You know, I think it'd be very dangerous not to have someone there to help along. It's not only that, it's a transition of someone new coming in with all our other departments and how they work together, not only the public works, but in the office and that, stuff like the changes and stuff like that. But I think you'll do well. We talk about money. That money is not that important if we do everything right, you know. It's costly if we make mistakes, very costly. So, and we got, you know, the next couple of years, I think the township's gonna grow, and there are gonna be a lot of things happening, so I think it's a good move. I'm for it.
I do have to ask the manager, at what age did you start? When you-
16.
50 years, you know, I was just doing a quick math and,
That's 50 years in management.
oh.
Yeah, he hasn't been here 50 years.
Well, it's been 18.
Feels like it.
It'll be 18 years here, but, you know, I had 20 with the county and school district, hospital, you know, it's been an interesting run.
Must be older than I thought.
Some days,
Oh, I mean, that's
Some days it
50 years
catches
is a
up.
long time, that's,
yeah, well,
It
I'll be, not divulging anything, it's not public knowledge, but when I retire in May, I'll be 71.
really. Well, you look
You're
pretty
a
damn
young guy
good.
yet.
You look pretty damn good for 71.
roll call vote, please.
Are you calling the question?
But I still, we're talking about vacation days too. Because if we don't do something, someone in the public is gonna ask the questions on all this. So I think we need to have a discussion on it.
Yeah.
So,
Prorated.
all right, that's great.
Won't hear anyone say anything.
Does that need to be in the motion?
Well, it's always when you,
Benefits prorated.
it's always when, it's my understanding when you retire in the middle of the year, everything's usually prorated. It's not, you don't get the full amount.
No, no.
It's always
Didn't intend to,
prorated.
didn't expect to.
I I just thought because it was a contract and it's separate from actual employment, if we have to spell it out.
You don't need it as an election issue.
No. Usually everything, if you retire in the middle of a year, it's prorated.
As long as you don't feel it needs to be in the motion, we're good.
I'm sure Roger can put some language together to that effect.
He can say, I was here, I heard it. Okay, anything else?
What is the motion?
The motion will be to grant the manager's extension of employment up to 5 months
With prorated benefits.
with prorated benefits. Is that acceptable, John?
Yes.
Pete, is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and John's asking for a roll call vote.
Okay, trustee Marks.
Yes.
Trustee LaRue.
Yes.
Trustee Wiegand.
Yes.
Trustee Everson.
Yes.
Treasurer Johnson.
Yes.
Clerk Rattari is yes, and Supervisor Durant.
I suppose.
Motion carries 7-0.
Oh, he's been my right hand. I can't say no. Okay, thanks. We're down to public comment. Is that awesome or what? We don't have any public. Announcements. Anything anybody wants to share? No? Managers report.
I won't take much time on the manager's report. It's pretty straightforward. As of Labor Day, we begin back to our regular office hours, closing at 5 o'clock instead of the 4:30, which we've been doing through the summertime. However, our call status continues 24/7, in terms of needing any after-hours service. Budget process, talk briefly about that. You have the budget schedule before you. I will have to you, hopefully by Friday, the preliminary draft budget. There are a couple of things that we still don't know. We don't know for sure what the impact of the health insurance is going to be. I've been hearing some pretty bad things from people who have had their health insurance renewed already, mostly double-digit increases. Don't know what that's going to do for us. We're in the large pool, so it's going to depend on what the actual experience of that pool was. We will not know that until sometime in late October, is what I'm being told. So that is yet to be. We're making projections. I'm doing an estimate basically in the budget, and it'll identify that in the narrative. The transmittal will tell you exactly what we're using, what percentages we're projecting. Same thing with the CPI, which impacts the labor agreements. We've got the formula that deals with the CPI and Treasury as two of the pieces of that three-part process. So that will be designated in the transmittal. Once we start getting into the budget work sessions, which the board will have to get your calendars out and schedule those, we'll be able to deal with some of these questions as they come up and make whatever adjustments need to be in the budget. As usual, I will put together a projection, I think a pretty close projection, and I will have that available in the budget once it's adopted, and then potentially after the first of the year, we may have to amend that right off the bat if we have some additional information. At any event, by December 31st, you have to adopt a budget. That budget has to be adopted following a public hearing. That public hearing is currently planned for your December 3rd board meeting, with the consideration of the budget at your December 17th board meeting, which then leaves you the remainder of December for any modifications that you might want to make before it actually goes into effect on January 1st. Community Day, we had Community Day. The Community Events Committee put that together, and it was, again, successful. It was a gorgeous day. Couldn't have been any better. Beautiful day. We estimate that we had between 200 and 300 people constantly in and out flow, but every time we took a count, it was right around between 200 to 300 people that was there throughout the day. So it was a great time. Traffic-wise, same as always. We're getting into the point now. I see TV6 had a report last night and this morning, I think it was. They were interviewing Al from the MDOT. And basically, they're going to be completing this week, they're going to be completing the paving on the north side of the two roundabouts. And then they'll be shifting traffic to the south side to begin working on the south side, and they'll be doing the north side of the tunnel at the same time. So pretty aggressive schedule. They are projecting that they're on schedule at this point and do anticipate completion of the construction by the end of October. Most of the restoration will take place next spring. But they are saying that the full use of the roadway will be available for the winter season. We had a little scare today. We had a power outage west of here, which included Meyer and that whole area. Lasted for about half an hour. So no bad reports, but a lot of concern about the traffic lights not being functioning in the current configuration of the construction zone. BLP does not as yet know what caused it. It's somewhere in their system. We initially thought somebody snagged a wire in the construction site, but the indication is that's not the case, that it was somewhere in their system had some kind of a failure.
That last hiccup on AT&T was crippling for a lot of us businesses with no phone lines, no internet.
Was, yeah. Nothing.
Especially in my business.
Yeah, and it wasn't, we were never affected by it at all here. You on the other side of the street was, you were affected by it. It was
People were very,
sporadic.
very generous, so I got my little credit card machine out and everybody couldn't believe that I still had one. The imprint,
And you still knew how to use
and
it.
I did. Chunk, chunk.
I guess that's all I had, unless anybody has any questions.
I just have one, where the city's talking about the ATMs in Hartwood.
Oh, the ATV, or the
ATV?
side-by-sides?
Yeah, whatever,
Yeah, there is, we were never contacted. The indication that we got when we met with the NTN folks is that it does cross our property at some point, and Jason is following up with city planning to find out where that might be. There are areas in the township and in our property where they are not allowed by ordinance. Everybody seems to forget that, we control the ordinance regardless of who owns the property. Our ordinances apply. So I'm not sure. We don't know for sure where that is. I saw it in Saturday's paper as well, and I asked the question. NTN thought they had a map that they were going to forward to us, but they were not involved in the discussion either.
Some of the city commissioners didn't realize that we control our zoning.
Well, I don't think it
That they could
originated
usurp
with the,
it.
I don't think it originated with the city commission. I think
Yeah,
it
not that
originated with their, one of their committees that took the ball and ran with it to try and come up with an acceptable plan with the ATV group, who have been trying to get trail connection. They can't utilize our heritage trail, so they're trying to get other trails connected, which is a good goal. But everybody needs to be brought to the table for that discussion, and that didn't happen.
Lynn?
Yes, Pete?
I just want to make comment about ATVs. Everyone's against them, or they're for them, or whatever. But in the township, they've been very good. I don't think we've had one complaint or one ticket. But I've talked to, before when we got into this thing and some of the discussions with some of them, I just said that, you have to follow the rules or they're going to take it away. And they've been they go down by my house and go into the woods, and they've been very courteous and very slow, and so it's kind of happy about it, so.
Andy?
Speaking of power outages, Manager Gerard mentioned to me today about the status of our generator here, so if you wanted to share that with the
Oh.
board.
Yeah, we're just in the process now. I was talking with John Prince today. We did finally get a quote for the whole project, and he is now in the process of seeing, the timeline for the availability of the generator to arrive. So, it should be here pretty soon. Before, I told him we needed it in before winter.
And also too, on that, with that fire at Pine Ridge, there's a lot of displaced residents, and I'm not saying that we could have that out here someday, and we could have the community room could be available for a short term we have power,
It would be nice to have power if you invited them in.
That would be nice, yeah. So, that's
Be helpful.
that's the benefit of having that, and then like I said, for my elections, it would probably be good to have power if we Sometimes in November, it can be kind of dicey, that November election.
Well, just to have staff continue to work too, instead of sending them
Correct.
home, have to sit in the dark, they can't work, you know.
Yep, everything's down.
Seasonal change, you're gonna get, we're gonna have winds, have potential for trees to come down to take power out. It doesn't necessarily have to be snow or anything along, there's any number of things that could disrupt, even
Somebody
even
could cut a
unknown
cable.
causes.
What's the manager's best guess at when we'll get a generator?
By October,
In,
And
installed.
thank you.
Is that the same one that John was talking about earlier?
Yeah, it's a 45 kW. Yeah, it's a new generator.
Oh,
The
new.
one that we were talking about, the replacement generator got utilized elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
Anything else for the manager?
Funny thing about the power outage is that years ago, I lost it at my store, and most people would close the store. I just went and took the flashlights off, put batteries in it, and leave the people shop. Never missed a beat.
Do. Adapt, improvise, overcome.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's somewhere before.
Review our motions, Mr. Clerk, please.
Okay, consent agenda was approved as presented, a roll call vote, the budget amendment. Approval of the regular agenda as presented was approved. The service vehicle replacement was approved, the public works vehicle. And fourth motion, we extended the manager's contract up to 5 months. And that was approved.
You gotta get 12 months' work on it.
So for our September agendas, the library has asked to come and speak to us for our second meeting in September. I'll confirm that with her so she can give her annual report. And then we'll see if the NTN license is available to look at. That might be on there. And we'll talk to Jason to see if he's got something for the Safe Routes to Schools. And I don't know if you want to try to bring our calendars to the next meeting. Randy won't be here to schedule work sessions, or if we should probably wait till he gets back unless we have his calendar. Thanks, Lisa.
Probably after
Wait till he gets back.
17th.
Yeah. And we're all on the same page.
Well, you'll have September, October, and November. I mean, as it sits right now, the budget's gonna look real familiar. Couple of minor changes, but nothing significant. I can tell you right now, the recommendations from Public Works are not to change any of the rates.
Can we get that
What?
writing tonight?
You're gonna get it in writing by Friday, because I've got his budget's done, so the volume rate and the base rates are gonna remain, recommended to remain the same.
So the biggest discussion with his budget then will just be our definitions, and that should take,
And what you want to fund and how you want to fund it out of any of the replacement improvement list.
And it'll be good, we'll have our replacement superintendent in place by that time, so he can weigh in on it.
right at the
Be
beginning.
involved in those meetings. Yep.
Don't you love it when a plan comes together?
The majority of the lengthy discussion had to do with rates, water and wastewater rates. So I think the recommendation that they remain as current should shorten your budget process significantly. Be able to focus on the replacement improvement and, where the board wants to go with that, knowing that, you're in your last year of your term, in 20.
Be good. Is there any board member comment or anything else you wanted to let me know on the agenda if there's something else? Dave?
That thing for Mr. McCarthy was more than just say first to school. He wants,
Yeah.
Tying in all the
I'll talk
routes.
to him
It's a
and see if he's got-
presentation, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
backup
Yeah.
for the packet and all that.
yeah.
Pete?
You may notice that some of the sign poles are being corrected now. The one on Waldo and Woodridge is corrected. They got a new pole up there.
I know one guy that'll make really happy.
I know that. One of our residents would be very happy with that.
With one exception, it's not far enough off the road.
Oh, yeah. We should look at that. And the other one is that when you're coming down when you're turning onto, by Senex gas station, you're coming east and you're turning onto Wright Street, there is a light there. I have seen about 2 cars come down, stop, look at the traffic coming west,
Yeah.
and then just go across. They forget there's a light there, so just be careful.
I did have one other comment with regard to this time of the year. The road commission called, and they're beginning to get requests for deer crossing signs. We have deer crossing everywhere. I mean, they're crossing roads all over the place. So I guess the long and the short of it is, I told the road commission that we are not going to be interested in funding the purchase and erection of deer crossing signs unless they are willing to commit that every time a deer changes in a different location, they will move the sign. I haven't heard back from them. But I guess the bottom line, and this goes along, we have lots of requests for 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs in Trowbridge. Every road in Trowbridge is a 25-mile-an-hour road. We don't need signs. It's de facto.
Ontario.
Well, those are marked, specifically marked higher speeds, 35 miles an hour.
That's even for scooters.
Yep. And e-bikes. We're getting a lot of those electric bikes in town now, in the township, and the same thing, the speed limits apply to them. And the issue with signage is, you could have signs everywhere with kids playing and speed limit signs and deer crossing signs, and the bottom line is they change constantly. We've got them crossing here on Moran. They're crossing over by the fire hall, across Commerce. They're crossing all over the place. Werner, 3 different areas in Werner that I've seen them cross. They're just randomly moving this time of the year, so you never know where you're going to see them. Bottom line is, don't exceed the posted speed limits, and don't be on your phone.
Keep your
Pay
car
attention to
under
what you're doing.
control.
That's it. Pay attention to what you're
Keep
doing.
your scooter under control.
If we put the signs up, then the deer are gonna cross there.
Yeah.
Well, I think they should be eliminated if they don't cross there.
The sheriff out
They'll know
there.
where to cross if the sign is there.
You heard that, old YouTube.
Yeah,
It's
Oh,
on
yeah.
the radio.
I've heard that, yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, we have a motion. Did anybody else have any comments, though? Randy?
The last comment is Northern Michigan University starts a week, well, it'll be next Monday.
Oh, boy.
Today.
A week, well, almost a week from today, but.
Yeah, Monday.
They'll be back in, they're already back in.
So just a reminder, the traffic is going to increase by a lot. So just everyone be careful in the construction area because especially this weekend, there's gonna be a lot of people at the big box stores trying to get their son and daughter.
And Labor
Set
Day
it.
is the highest traffic holiday.
And within a week, the schools all start.
Yep.
So your buses will start moving
Yeah.
in that too. So within the next 10 days, you're gonna see an awful lot of traffic.
And roundabouts, and trucks tipping over. So, yes, be careful. Anything else? We have a motion.
Support.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? What time have we got?
20 after 7. 21.
7:18. Thank you.
Another fine